everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video review, and this will be a review of the first season of The Acolyte. Now there are likely to be spoilers throughout, so just beware when going to this overall video, and you can check out my coverage of the previous Star Wars live action series within the channel, and I'll leave some links within the description. So overall, The Acolyte was the 6th live action Disney Plus Star Wars series following The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor and Ahsoka. The novelty this time round is that it was set 100 years before the Skywalker saga, which began of course with the Phantom Menace, and focuses on the High Republic era of the Star Wars mythology, where the Jedi Order was at the height of its power, at a more peaceful time within the galaxy. Now the show's overall story follows the outline of peace within the galaxy, but recently individuals have emerged that show signs of having the power of the Force. The Jedi travel all over the galaxy to investigate these individuals, and if so, recruit them into the Jedi Order. The main story of The Acolyte focuses around two individuals, twin sisters, both being Osha and May, who both have very special powers. We see that the Jedi investigate these two twins. Osha was a previous Padawan within the Jedi Order, and her sister May has taken a much more vengeful mission by trying to eliminate certain Jedi, as she holds them responsible for the death of her family. We see Osha's master, Jedi Soul, and his group of warriors searching the galaxy to track them down, and over the course of the story we have various reveals and secrets that put into question the integrity and intentions of the Jedi, and we spend the course of the series wondering who is on the right side of good. So following then what's been, for me, certainly a very disappointing run of Disney Plus Star Wars series, would The Acolyte break the mould and show signs of overall improvement within the Disney Star Wars era? Well, sadly the answer to this question is no, and it's overall a resounding no, for The Acolyte is yet again another lackluster, bland television series in general, let alone a Star Wars story. For the most part, everything here is just weak in terms of story, characters, action and set pieces, and musical score. Nothing at all really makes a lasting impression, whether it's a standalone story or whether it's an addition to the Star Wars canon. The Acolyte has all of the same issues that's plagued the previous Star Wars series, where the story itself feels much more like a mini-movie that's been stretched out overall to a series, just to provide content for the Disney Plus platform. We see this throughout the show, where every episode just ends abruptly, with no real cliffhanger for the next installment or any resolution for the current story. There were multiple phases where the story rarely moved forward or carried any real pace or momentum. All we essentially had here was the overall mystery in terms of the twins' origins, the conspiracy of murder set by the Jedi, and how a previous Jedi, now turned Acolyte or Sith warrior, had his own overall intentions. And without question, the biggest issue throughout the show was indeed its writing. Throughout the various characters and the plots, there were so many unanswered questions in terms of the narrative that just really left you scratching your head and really prevented you from trying to immerse yourself in the story or just enjoy the series as a whole. Whether it was May, who began the series killing Jedi but suddenly deciding not to do so anymore after a walk in the forest. We had Osha suddenly turning over to the dark side after spending literally a couple of hours with Mir. Yes, she does find out that Soul killed her mother, but after being with the Jedi for a certain amount of time, you would have felt that she would have learned enough to, at the very least, not commit murder and see the culprits that killed her mother being overall brought to justice. We had all of this discussion about the twins' origins, how they were created by not having a father, the certain Force powers that they gained, or certainly we saw with May during the Ascension ceremony, and it was all built up to be such a big deal. There was a certain outrage, particularly online, that this would somehow destabilise the canon, that Anakin was the special figure who had the Force inside him. Of course, if these individuals had that without having a father and were just created, then did it diminish the speciality within Anakin's character and also the Star Wars stories that followed after this? But when you watch this show, it didn't really matter why these twins are so special, how they were created, what impacts does it have on the future universe. Certainly towards the end of the series, the show kind of gives up on this whole idea, so why put it there in the first place? It really didn't matter how these twins were made up, and even towards the end of the show, The show tries to make out as if they are not actually twins but overall the same person, which overall didn't make any sense. We look at Tarbon, who was traumatized in a meditative state for over 10 years, following the trauma of the events within Brendel, and that really didn't make any sense overall. He's just floating there in his own room, providing an easy target for May to get to. And it turned out that the whole destruction of the witch's base within Brendel really was just down to May causing a spark by just burning the books, trying to prevent Osha from leaving the base. When watching this episode, so many of us deemed that there must be some sort of ultimate reveal. Maybe there was another assassin or some other event that could somehow cause the widespread fire to completely destroy the base, but that wasn't to be. Why didn't May tell the other witches that the fire was spreading? Why did the witches spend so much time mind controlling Kelnaka, who was the Wookiee Jedi, instead of using their powers to extinguish the flames or at least evacuate the location? Why did Khmer train May in the first place, when all he really wanted to do was just roam around freely within the galaxy using his powers? Would getting May to train some Jedi really help him achieve his goal? Why not just carry on travelling within the galaxy and conceal his identity, as nobody really knew who he was? And there were just so many questions running throughout this show that really didn't make any sense, once more a symptom of bad writing and underdevelopment. And as we headed to the series finale, the confusion just continued. We see now that Osha has gone full on to the dark side and actually killed Sol. Yes, we understand, as mentioned before, that he did kill her mother, but Osha was supposedly chosen because she had much more of the force of good rather than the force of evil. And she does this in such a remorseless way, and it really brings a nonchalant end to the arc of Sol, who there were many issues with his own character, especially towards the final 2 episodes. For some reason, both May and Osha are able to get the upper hand on Sol, who was the Jedi Master, which didn't really make any sense, and there was constant issues once more with the power scaling, especially as we saw how Khmer was able to take down all of the Jedi single-handedly. We see lightsabers can now change colour apparently when somebody turns, as we see in this scene here where we see Osha holding the lightsaber and it turns from blue to red. When exactly did that happen? Now, doing a bit of research, apparently that is established in some form of canon within Star Wars. But again, having something like this take place, which is of course a prequel story, we do ask questions as to why we didn't see this happen within the future continuity. For example, why didn't Anakin's lightsaber turn red when he was facing off against Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith? And there were just so many events and contradictions that really left you scratching your head throughout this entire episode. We then look at the characters who were involved, and as playing the role of both Osha and May, actress Amanda Steinberg just showed very little in terms of range and emotional weight as either character, and it was very hard to really fully sympathise or empathise with either personality. All of the other Jedi members, whether it was Yord or Jeki, had very little investment themselves and actually died in episode 5, and when they passed away you really didn't care about what happened to them in the first place. I also had very little investment in Khmer. Many predicted that he would be the overall Sith Force before the reveal in episode 5, and after that reveal he really was painted much less of a villain and much more as an alternate voice in the ongoing debate as to whether Jedi are good or bad. And then we talk about Sol, who up to a certain point was easily the best character of the show through actor Lee Jung-jae's performance, which was even more impressive given the fact that he had to learn English to prepare for the role. And in the beginning, Sol had a certain authority and integrity. We understood this character easily, and we saw that there was a certain compassion as he yearned to preserve Osha's safety. But as the overall mystery is revealed, we see how reckless he is as he panics by killing Mother Osea. He also has this unrelenting obsession to recruit Osha into the Jedi Order straight away, despite only knowing her for 5 minutes. And overall, he ended up being an erratic and reckless character, not listening to Adira by infiltrating the witch's base, deciding to keep the secret revealed from both Osha and the Jedi Order for nearly 16 years. And as mentioned before, his character just really regressed in the final 2 episodes. We then have to talk about probably the biggest crime of the show, and that is the complete deconstruction of the Jedi themselves. Normally the heroic and noble characters of the Star Wars franchise, well, that notion was completely blown apart throughout the series. Throughout the events of the story, we see the Jedi are actually inconsiderate, totalitarian in terms of their rule and their decision making, whether it was infiltrating the witch's base and having no consideration and just looking to take the twins from their family straight away. We see that they are presented here as murderers, conspirators, taking no accountability for their actions, and whenever they're potentially caught for their actions, they just end up blaming it on other people. We saw this especially with the whole reveal of what happened on the witch's base on Brendor, where Sol initially wants to take ownership for what he did, but then Adira tells him not to do so, and they end up covering what happened, and even more notoriously so in the finale, where we saw Fenestra completely throwing Sol under the bus by blaming him for killing all of the Jedi when it was actually Khmer who killed them within episode 5. And this was quite shocking really in terms of seeing how the Jedi were treated, and I think it does overall show a lack of respect and acknowledgement in terms of the Star Wars lore, and we can see here that was really the whole design of this series created by Leslie Headland, that she really wanted to very much put a stain on the whole ideals and personalities of the Jedi, and it really does prove to be a whole detriment towards the Star Wars franchise itself. And not even supposed cameos by Darth Plagueis at the end of the finale alongside Yoda could really restore or amend all of the flaws that we saw throughout the series. And overall, yet again, it's another piece of Disney Star Wars content that really fails to hit its mark in terms of providing a compelling story or exciting set pieces, or even furthering the Star Wars mythology to either satisfy the original fan base or indeed bring newer fans to the overall franchise. And at this stage, I really think it's time for the franchise within the Disney Star Wars era to really take a break and take stock and really look at what exactly they're trying to do in terms of the story and the characterization. I've said multiple times that the franchise itself needs to start moving forward with newer characters and newer continuity rather than just investing in prequel stories all the time, which continues to cause problems in terms of destabilizing the canon and also causing antagonism amongst Star Wars fans again. So sadly then, another disappointing show within the Star Wars franchise, within the Acolyte. Hopefully after a concerted break that maybe perhaps we can get back to some high quality, but continuing the run of these shows, I'm really not sure that we will get that uptick in quality that the franchise so badly needs. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings when reviewing the first season of The Acolyte. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any other movies, television series, or any other issues within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover, then let me know within the comments, and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.